Hello everyone, this is Abi aka Only Abi Doang. Yes, I started using Facecam since 9 videos ago, still with my makeshift fairy wings here, and today we're going to take a look at everything about fairies and all the things they can do in the new Sims 4 expansion pack, The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature. And before continuing, just a quick reminder that I don't have a creator code. Feel free to use the code ONLYABIDOANG when buying any Sims 4 packs in the EA app if you'd like to support me. Alright, let's just dive straight into what these winged weirdos can do. Fairies are winged occult based on nature, emotions, and manipulation. To become one, you'll need to obtain a fairy seedling. You can find it by asking around, completing quests, foraging, talking to other fairies, or simply ordering it from a computer. You can only carry one fairy seedling in your inventory at a time. Once you have it, plant this seedling anywhere on the ground to summon the Mother Nature NPC. She'll give you a special potion to drink. After that, head to the Everdew neighborhood in the new world of Innisgreen and complete the transformation by bathing in this magical pond called Moondrop Springs. Your sim will be imbued with magic and become a fully fledged fairy after that. You can also create fairies directly in Create a Sim, with a variety of wing shapes to choose from, and you can customize them further using the Paint Mode tool. If you want to change a fairy's appearance later, you can do so by using a mirror or a wardrobe. First of all, fairies don't have the usual bladder or hunger needs. Instead, they have a new unique need called Emotional Force, which depletes over time and whenever you use your fairy abilities. To refill it, you can regenerate using 5 piles of fairy dust, absorb emotions from other sims, drink a bottled emotion potion, and more. There are 5 fairy ranks in total, each connected to a skill tree system. To rank up, you'll need to earn fairy XP by regularly using your fairy powers. As you gain XP, you'll also receive ability points that can be used to unlock new abilities in the skill tree. If you ever want to reset your choices, you can buy the Fairy Ability Refund Potion from Mother Nature for 20 piles of fairy dust. There are 28 unlockable fairy abilities in total. Let's take a look at all of them. After that, I'll also cover some additional fairy abilities that aren't tied to the skill tree and are available by default. First, we'll take a look at the manipulation category. The Cure or Apply Ailment ability does what it says. You can give any sim you're targeting at one of the 8 ailments available in this pack. You can also cure any ailments someone else is experiencing, which can be pretty handy if you work in the naturopath active career. Additionally, unlocking this ability allows you to absorb vampirism from a vampire to turn them to a regular sim. You can also use this ability to lower a werewolf's fury or calm down an enraged werewolf. Enraged werewolf townies may even call your sim to ask for a favor so you can calm them down. The Fairy Insight ability allows your fairy to immediately find out some information from a sim. This includes their career, attraction, traits, turn-ons and offs, likes and dislikes, and sexual orientation on a whim. The Shift Luck ability is pretty straightforward. It's also a 2-tier ability. Unlocking the first tier allows you to change your own luck to good luck or bad luck. Luck is the new system in this pack, by the way. Upgrading to the second tier lets you control other sims' luck to anything you want. The Manipulate Object ability lets your sim change the state of any object to either clean, dirty, burnt, broken, repair, spoiled, or fresh. It works on burnable objects, anything that can get dirty or break, as well as food and drinks. The Age Up Another ability is also pretty straightforward. It lets you instantly age up any sim from teen and older to the next life stage. Unfortunately, you cannot age up an elder sim to their death. Yeah, no murder this time. I wish they had gone with the Death Flower arrangement route instead, where you can literally age elders to their death. The Bring Gnome to Life ability allows fairies to temporarily bring gnomes back to life with their magic. You can assign them to do one of these 4 tasks. Cleaning, where they will take out trash, clear up puddles, and immediately clean any dirty objects in the lot. Repair, where they will fix any broken objects and also apply an upgrade to any upgradable objects in your lot, and this includes upgrading the toilet to have compost container from Eco Lifestyle Pack that can literally burn your sim if you don't have any insect farm around. Gardening, where they will take care of all plants in the lot. And Protect, where they can fight off these evil gnomes that may spawn and cause chaos if you bring gnomes to life too often, and even protect you from the Grim Reaper as well. They will teleport around your lot to these objects, and after a few hours, they will turn back to a regular gnome. You can also socialize with them if they're alive and increase your relationship with them. I don't think there's any difference between this method of bringing gnomes to life and the fairy dust method, since both result in the same lifespan for the gnome. Next is the emotion category. The Sway Another's Emotion ability lets you change a sim's emotion to almost any emotion you want, except for a few selections of emotions like dazed, uncomfortable, possessed, and asleep. The Bottle Emotion ability has two tiers. The first tier allows fairies to bottle their current emotion into an emotional potion, which can be used to fulfill their emotional force later, change the emotion of a sim to that emotion, or as an apothecary ingredient. The second tier lets you bottle another sim's current emotion as an emotional potion. The Project Emotion ability lets you release your current emotion to nearby sims, removing that emotion from your sim and making those around you feel it instead. The Influence Relationship ability has two tiers. The first tier lets you increase or decrease either the friendship or romance level between you and any known sim of your choice. The second tier allows you to increase or decrease the relationship between two different sims that know each other. So yeah, you can absolutely break up romantic partners, just like how Coldplay destroyed that cheating CEO's marriage. The Influence Sentiment ability also has two tiers. The first tier lets you add either positive or negative sentiments from any known sim towards you, or even remove certain sentiments they have about you. The second tier lets you influence a sim's sentiment toward other sims they know. Let's move on to the Nature category. The Nurture Nature ability has two tiers and does a lot of things. The first tier unlocks the power to instantly care for a single plant by watering it and removing weeds and bugs. You can also use it on your cats, dogs, and even horses to fill up all of their needs and cure any illness for cats and dogs. This ability also works on farm animals from Cottage Living Pack and ranch animals from the Horse Ranch Pack. With this ability, you can also use water healing on both mermaids from the Island Living Pack and plant sims. It fills up a plant sim's water need and a mermaid's hydration need. Sometimes, you may even get a phone call from a mermaid asking you to do this for them as a favor. The second tier of this ability is called Enchant Plant. Once unlocked, you can enchant any plant for a few days. Enchanted plants won't need any care since they will stay watered and free of bugs and weeds. However, they might attract pixies, which can hinder their growth. Sims can try to chase them away, but it might backfire. Fairies, on the other hand, can gently shoo them away without any trouble. There's no difference between enchanting plants this way and using fairy dust. The Forager Fae and Duplicate Harvestable ability does two things. It lets you duplicate a single harvestable into 5 with your fairy magic, and it increases your chances of finding more ingredients while foraging. The Manifest Seed ability lets your fairy materialize a random selection of uncommon or rare harvestables directly into their inventory. The Growth Eruption ability unlocks the power to instantly grow all plants in your vicinity to full maturity. The Sense Harvestables ability unlocks the power to highlight all plants that are ready to harvest in your current area. The Bloom Plant ability lets your fairies make mature plants to immediately bear their fruits so you can harvest them. The Transform into Fairy ability is pretty self-explanatory. It lets you instantly turn any sim of your choice into a fairy, as long as they aren't already an occult. Finally, there's the Customization category. The abilities here are passive, and you can only choose one of the two options at each rank. On the first rank, you can choose either the Warm Force Gain ability, which lets your fairy feel their emotional force need through friendly, romantic, or funny interactions, or the Wicked Force Gain ability, which fills it through mean or mischievous interactions. On the second rank, you can choose either the Malicious Absorber ability, which makes fairies gain extra emotional force need when absorbing positive emotions, or the Benevolent Absorber ability, which gives extra emotional force when absorbing negative emotions. On the third rank, you can choose either the Embrace Relationship Changes ability, which makes relationship gains and losses more intense when you use your powers on other sims, or the Negate Relationship Changes ability, which prevents any relationship gain or loss when using your powers on other sims. On the fourth rank, you can choose either the Spillover Sensitivity ability, which increases the chance of experiencing an emotional spillover after absorbing another sim's emotion, or the Spillover Resistance ability, which reduces the chance of an emotional spillover after absorbing a sim's emotion. And finally, on the fifth rank, you can choose either the Expert Regeneration ability, which lets fairies gain extra emotional force need when they use the Regenerate Emotional Force power, or the Energetic Dreamer ability, which lets fairies increase their emotional force need when sleeping. So those are all the 28 unlockable fairy abilities. However, fairies also have some unique characteristics, abilities, and interactions that aren't tied to the skill tree, and I'm going to show you those as well. They age slower compared to regular Sims. Like most occults in this game, they can switch between their human and fairy forms with wings. They can also still perform fairy abilities while in human form. In their fairy form, they usually move around by flying thanks to their wings. They'll also fly slightly faster when traveling to distant areas. Their wings may occasionally be hidden during certain interactions. If you prefer them to walk, you can disable flying while in fairy form. They can cast most of their abilities targeted to a sim from the distance. In fact, the distance can even be as extreme as this. I'm not even sure if this one is intended or if it's a bug, but it's hilarious nonetheless. Their abilities will always succeed no matter what. Even vampires and werewolves can fail sometimes when using their powers, but fairies? Yeah, they're too overpowered. Performing fairy abilities onto a sim may cause them to develop new fear in this pack, fear of magic. Sims with this fear will run away whenever they're near a fairy. You can click on the ground to have your fairy instantly fly there. This is basically the teleport ability for fairies. Fairies can passively produce fairy dust on the ground during certain activities, like showering or using their powers. They can also rub it off from their skin from time to time. Other sims can ask a fairy directly for some fairy dust as well. Fairy dust can be used as an ingredient or for performing various magical actions in this pack. Since fairies can absorb others' emotions, they can also detect nearby sims' emotions first to get to know what they're currently feeling. You will also be notified if a sim's emotion is too powerful. If you absorb a sim with a powerful emotion, you'll get this tense buff as a warning. If you do it again, you'll either get the first tier of this playful, angry, or embarrassed overload buff depending on the type of emotion you've absorbed. It increases one tier each time you absorb an emotion while overloading, and if the buff has reached tier 3 and you still absorb another's emotion, your sim will die of extreme emotions. This isn't considered as a new death type though. Additionally, if they run out of emotional force need for too long, they will end up dying of emotional starvation, which is a new death type. This is what a fairy's tombstone and urn look like. Ghost fairies are still fairies, and if a ghost fairy's emotional force need goes too low, they will immediately perform this netherworld regenerate emotional force interaction to greatly increase their need bar without any fairy dust needed. This is also the same case for pregnant fairies with low emotional force need, since they're not allowed to die. The interaction will be named as hastily regenerate emotional force instead. Fairies can shrink and play inside several household objects to increase their fun need. Some objects may also have unique effect after you play in them, like increasing certain skills and finding other stuff or money. They can also shrink and sleep inside dollhouses or on pianos. Fairies can fill up their hygiene need by doing the cleanse in nature ability on water plants, where they shrink and fly around the plant to clean themselves. On top of that, they can also shrink and splash around in a sink, which boosts both their hygiene and fun need. Fairies also get their own new woohoo, where they shrink to woohoo with either another fairy or even non-fairy sims. The latter plays a new animation where the fairies shrink their woohoo partner before doing the action in the sky. After this interaction, plenty of fairy dust piles will be scattered on the ground. They can use the new fairy house object to do various things there, like taking a bath, regenerating their emotional force, sleeping, and even throwing a dance party. Fairy dust will accumulate each time a fairy uses it, and other sims can shake the house to obtain those fairy dust. It can backfire though, so be careful. Instead of climbing ladders manually, fairies will automatically fly up and down ladders. If two fairies have a baby, their offspring will get the High Fae Lineage reward trait. Having this trait allows them to gain more fairy XP points once they grow up to teen. Like other occults, fairies will also be affected by moon phases. During the full moon, fairies will have slowed emotional force need depletion and lowered fairy ability cost. Meanwhile, the new moon accelerates their emotional force need depletion and increases their fairy ability cost. They have some unique social interactions between fairies and when talking to a non-fairy sim. Non-fairy sims will also have some new social interactions when talking to fairies. They're no different than the other social interactions though. Fairies can perform this flood with laughter interaction to other sims to increase their own fun need. This will always make the sim laugh and get this playful buff. Fairies will have different starting relationship when meeting certain occults. They will start on good terms with werewolves and mermaids, and will start on bad terms with vampires and spellcaster. Fairies also have their own unique insults to vampires and spellcasters. Child fairies and younger won't have wings and can't use fairy powers yet, but they do have some new features. Infant fairies can be fed a bottled emotion potion to make them happy. Toddler and child fairies build thinking and imagination skill faster. Also, every time they wake up, they may experience an emotional struggle for 4 hours. This buff causes them to have periodic tantrum bursts that can break objects nearby. Older fairies can help them to manage their emotions whenever this happens, and if they keep helping them on later occurrences, eventually these younger fairies will wake up with emotional stability, giving bursts of happiness to sims around them instead. Fairies can visit the Mossvale Fairy Hub rabbit hole in the Everdo neighborhood of the world Innisgreen to collect 5 piles of fairy dust rations each day. If you use your fairy powers in the Coast of Atmore neighborhood while someone is nearby, you'll receive a warning not to do it again. If you ignore the warning and use your powers a second time, the Fairy Council liaison will contact you and you'll receive the Problem Fairy reward trait. With this trait, you can no longer collect your daily fairy dust ration from the hub. To remove it, you can either appeal to the court at a fairy hub for a chance at retribution, or pay a restitution fee to the Fairy Council liaison. And finally, to stop being a fairy, you will need to plant another fairy seedling to summon Mother Nature. Once she appears, ask her to remove your powers, and she will bottle up your fairy essence, draining your emotional force need in the process. The next step is to head to the Moondrop Springs within 24 hours and pour your fairy essence into the spring, which will transform you to a regular sim. However, if you change your mind, you can choose to keep the bottled essence and use it later to restore your emotional force. If you become a fairy again in the future, your previous rank and unlocked abilities will still be accessible. So, that's everything about fairies in The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature expansion pack. So, what do you think about them? Do you find them fun, overpowered, disappointing, or maybe a bit too chaotic? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you everyone for watching this video. I hope you find this video helpful. And if you like this kind of video and want more, be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. See you later!